another episode. This is Let's Commiserate. I'm Dave.
And I'm Sam.
We're happy to have you.
We are happy to have you. We really are. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening to us on not on TikTok, Spotify. If you're watching us on TikTok, it's fun. We do have all of the links. We're on. It's Mysteries. Everything is Mysteries on Demand. Mm-hmm. All one word. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. We're there. You can't escape us.
We are inevitable.
I was just going to say that. Getting out of my head.
Say it together.
We are inevitable. That wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Maybe we should do it again.
No, I think
they get together.
I think we've killed it.
So, welcome back to another episode. We're
welcome back, movie cousin.
As I will. Today we're actually reviewing Andor Season 1, Episode 3.
Yeah.
Before we delve into that, Sam, how was your week?
We have not talked about the roller coaster of emotions that was Kathleen Kennedy's.
Oh, we need to talk about this.
Kathleen Kennedy's supposed exit / retirement from Lucasfilm.
Okay, my real question: Do you think Disney told her? Is this a soft fire, or is she legitimately thinking about retiring?
Because there's so much to unpack here.
One of those makes me happy, and the other one does not bring joy.
Now, it was apparently, I thought it was an official announcement, but it turns out you thought it was. No. I didn't think it was a joke. I thought it was an official announcement, but it turns out it was a leaked rumor that was released. Because
that's the worst kind.
This supposed announcement was released that Kathleen Kennedy would be stepping down sometime at the end of this year. They were so strategic so as not to reveal any specific details. But sometime around the end of this year, Kathleen Kennedy was going to be stepping down from Lucasfilm. She was not going to be leaving Disney itself, but leaving Lucasfilm. Then along came an interview, I want to say it was maybe 2 days later, with Kathleen Kennedy herself. I believe it was with Deadline. And essentially she said, no, I'm not going anywhere, and they'll have to drag me out kicking and screaming. I'm really summarizing that. I'm really, putting my own spin on that.
That was okay. Well, what did she actually say?
Okay, look up the interview, Kathleen Kennedy, Deadline. But she was, I don't know. It was so, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes here. No, I actually do.
Dude, if there were toes to step on, you'd be dancing on them.
Exactly. She essentially, she seemed, man, this is going to get me in trouble. She seemed kind of insecure about it with her responses here. She said, no, I don't know where anyone would get that idea. I will always produce films. I have always produced films, and I will never stop producing films. And she was saying, essentially, I will leave when I'm good and ready. Take it or leave it. That's that. Deal with it.
Yeah, here we go. I will die making movies. The truth is, and I just want to say this loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. Can you do I will.
Should I just read her answer? Okay.
Yeah, can you do that with the whole thing?
This whole paragraph? Okay.
Yeah.
I will die making movies. The truth is, and I just want to say loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies.
This was actually Kathleen Kennedy.
You may think I'm illustrating.
This was a video.
Those are her words. Those are her exact words. So that was a lot, Robin. Okay. I have to find Heave.
I'm disappointed, to be honest.
It was
because I thought that, I only read a handful of articles, and I must not have read them well enough, because I thought it was she announced her retirement.
That's what I think.
I'm it wasn't sad to hear that she's not retiring.
It wasn't her actually announcing it. Okay, I found the actual article where she gave the interview.
Right.
But the interview said, So are you going to be looking to appoint your replacement from within? It seems like Dave Filoni is in a good position. He works on Star Wars to write and direct. And she says, I can't say who it is. There's an internal process. And it's, and they, man, her response is, I'm sorry, maybe it would be different if I saw her saying all of this and, you could kind of get a read on her body language. But in text, it doesn't come across very well. The interviewer said, this flurry of press coverage, it sounds like chaos. What's the reality? She says, chaos? There has never been any chaos because we know exactly what the plan is. And we've been talking about it, as I said, nonstop for the last couple of years because for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be here forever. George asked me 13 years ago to step in, and now I'm looking at who's going to replace me. And as I said, we have a bench of internally to handle the business, the creative side. The job has grown also since I stepped in. There was no streaming. There weren't a lot of things that we're involved in right now going on. So it has grown. Okay, friend. You still have a job. It's like no one's taking your job away. I
would laugh if you had been the interviewer. Can you get the video clip and then do an edit like you did with Judge Judy of you?
Yeah. I'm like, girl, sis, I'm on your side. Why do you have to come at me with this hostility?
You have to admit the Star Wars, franchise is gone in a lot more directions. Yeah. It's grown,
but she gradually gets more defensive.
Yeah.
If you think that was bad, I will read one more response.
The interviewer this far might as well keep going.
The interviewer says, the connotation is you're being pushed aside in need of being replaced, though that's not what I've heard. It's absolutely not the case. It could not be further from the truth. And everything that we do inside of Lucasfilm is in lockstep and in communication with Disney. We all know what's going on. The communication has been completely collaborative, as you would expect. This is a big piece of business for them, and they want to empower me to help them make that decision and that choice. I'm doing that.
Can't believe you're spitting.
All of the I's and me's in this, it's why she's making it all about her. It's not a good look.
It's not.
And I think if she was more forthright in just saying all she had to say was something to the effect of, I want to spend more time with my family, or something of that nature. But what makes me laugh the hardest is that she said, we've always had a plan. Everything has been planned out. Have you seen any of the sequel trilogy? Because nothing says we don't have a plan like evil episode of the sequel trilogy.
Ooh, are we touching the trequel trilogy?
The trequel trilogy.
Trilogy.
The sequel trilogy. No, we're not going to touch that because
that's going to be a heat.
The last time I talked about the sequel trilogy, it got ugly. Yellow pants.
That's going to be your new nickname.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for
So who knows what's actually going to happen with
13 years. So when did she get appointed? 2013?
2015, I thought. Well, maybe it was probably earlier, I guess.
I'm trying to remember what came. I don't remember any good Star Wars. I mean, Rogue One, Solo. No, sorry, let me take that back. Good Star Wars movies. Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
that I feel like that lucked out literally just because it was connecting 4 and 3 and 4.
Yes.
And then Andor was the only series again also lucked out because of Rogue One.
Well, Mandalorian started out pretty, and season 2 was still pretty new. Filoni was Mandalorian.
Dave Filoni and the big guy.
The big guy. Oh, Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
They both did so well.
Yeah.
But because they gave them full creative rights,
mm-hmm.
They did whatever they want, and it was good. I'm just saying, the math.
I think the problem.
Math. Okay, you gave Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau a series, and you're like, do with this what you want. And they did it, and it was an absolute masterpiece. anything else that Kathleen Kennedy has been involved with directly, I can't say on the air.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's absolute horse hockey.
And I think
And it should not be tolerated at all. Retire, Kathleen. Can we do a GoFundMe or like a petition to have her renamed as Karen Kennedy?
Karen Kennedy. I think one thing, and it's really hard because people will try to frame it as, oh, you're just attacking a woman in a position of power. It's not what's happening. But her fatal flaw here is the unwillingness to admit any mistakes whatsoever. Other studios have been willing to do that in the past. I think it was a couple years ago, Warner Brothers, they had basically come to admit they had a whole Batgirl film planned with Brendan Fraser.
Like a couple of movies.
I think they had, I don't know if they had started shooting the Batgirl film, but
It was ready to release.
that might, yeah.
It was ready to release. It was like a couple of months, and they did some test screenings, and they said, we are going to lose more money releasing this movie than we have already lost. Like, we're not going to make, we're going to lose more money if we release it.
Yes. And
It's crazy. They finished filming and
Mhm.
editing and producing this film.
they made the tough decision to say, okay, you know what? We're going to lose some money, but we're canceling this. It's for the best in the big picture. Kathleen Kennedy will never make a decision like that, and will never admit that something was a mistake. You've even Acolyte or even Solo, they've got so many excuses. Or like, oh well, people just didn't like because it's about a girl, or people just people were boycotting the theater. Like, it's not our fault. We did everything exactly right. Maybe you did some things wrong.
I don't think it's fair to blame the fans for the failure of a series or a movie or something, because the fans are not just. I mean, her thing. We've broadened out. We are no longer just like nerd. I mean, I don't think Star Wars ever was. This isn't like basement dwelling dorks. This are families, these are adults, these are kids, these are, I mean, at this point, grandparents. Like, this is a very broad spectrum of people that are going to be watching the Star Wars entertainment series. And to blame, like, if a series falls flat or a movie falls flat at release, to blame the fans and be like, oh well, audiences, what did they say? Audiences didn't receive well,
Or like, oh, they review bombed it. They were actively going against this before even giving it a chance, and it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. We will see what happens with
what I just don't understand is if you give like Dave Filoni, like, he produces a series, Clone Wars or whatever, and they produce it, and he's like, this is the story that I want to tell. This is the characters I want to craft. Okay, great. We release it. If it succeeds, awesome, great job. If it fails, okay, well, that was just Dave Filoni's vision and it didn't pan out, whatever. But in like the Acolyte, they changed all of season one. They were rewriting episodes, I think like 6, 7, and 8 based on the performances of 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
I'm like, the thing is, when you're rewriting the series halfway through
as you go. Yeah.
because you're trying to pander to the audience and still the entire series fails, I don't know who to blame at that point.
It shows that you've been making it up as you go, and it's just
So just admit it. Kathleen, please just admit to the fans, not that you're a failure, which is debatable. However, just admit that at times you were wrong.
it is too much to ask. My head and voice kind of hurt from doing those Kathleen hits.
It gave me a headache.
But
Can we talk about why we're here?
yes, let's talk about good things. We have so many good things to discuss. Andor
When you
episode
retire.
3. Dave, we're moving on.
Fine.
Let's just go into it assuming that it's never going to happen.
Something that's good.
They're going to have to drag her out kicking and screaming. That's just how it's going to be.
I'm just saying.
She even said that herself.
We hit a couple of Star Wars forums. We get a gang. We show up at LucasArts.
Yeah.
Pitchforks and torches in hand.
No, we go to Skywalker Ranch and we say, George, no, George, it's time for you to take charge. Like, take back control, man.
Bring him a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
I say it's time.
Andor season 1, episode 3, Reckoning.
Ooh, what did it intimidate?
There was a lot of action in this episode. It was a bit of a reckoning.
It was, I'm excited to kind of talk about this one.
I'm excited to kind of talk about it. Like, I don't know about like fully talking.
Yeah, I feel like the first, we're past the first 2 episodes, which is more just kind of like set, set build and everything, exposition, and now we're actually getting into the meat of the story.
Well, this is the end of like the first 3 episode arc. So yeah, you do expect something to happen at this point. Well, because all of these, I think all 3 episodes were released together.
Yeah. So this was a series. I just, from the opening shots of the series, I want to talk about, it's not like, I like how shows have recaps of things. Because it's not just like a cinematic experience, but it's kind of a serial. They're like, last week on Andor, blah, blah, blah. And, they have like coming. But even in the opening sequences of episode 3, like, you can tell, again, the directors took the time to think about the shots. And they have like 1 or 2 shots of the crawl space, where Cassian's like crawling onto the Imperial or the Republic, I guess at that point, the Republic ship.
Yeah, that didn't dawn on me until this episode. I was like, oh, this is the Republic.
Yeah, it was like years prior.
Yeah, like I should have known, but it happens apparently in 33 BBY. Right?
Oh, there we go. For the nerds, the classic Star Wars fans out there, 33 BBY. That's a little early.
Yeah. This was. So after
this is during the,
I think I want to say it was like right after Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the 33 BBY calendar. Notable events. Ahsoka Tano was just brought into the Jedi Order as a child.
Whoa.
Lot Dodd replaces Newt Gunray as head of the Trade Federation. Mon Mothma has her first water vine peach. I don't know how that. Don't ask me to explain that. I don't know what that is.
I hope the algorithms don't block us for that.
Water vine peach. It's a rare fruit from a region of its own world. It's a real thing.
No, it's probably in one of the books.
It's probably one of the books, and somebody felt the need. No, this was a significant event that needs to be included.
I just love our series of priority. It's like Newt Gunray was reappointed as the commissioner of the Trade Federation. Ahsoka Tano was appointed to the Jedi the Jedi Order. Also, Mon Mothma
had a peach. Okay. Apparently, he was born in 33 BBY, and then he was.
This makes a lot more sense.
And so no, he was. He was 9 years old when this happened. It says so that would make this 24 BBY. 24
okay.
BBY.
Okay, yeah. 24 BBY. So at this point, so this is during the transition from the Galactic Republic into the Galactic.
This is still during the transitionary period. I'm going to 24 BBY.
So this is like
Count Dooku is. Wait a second.
No. 24?
24 BBY. Count Dooku gives the Raxus address and founds the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The separatist crisis begins when thousands of star systems secede from the Galactic Republic. This was like
yeah. This was a big year.
Wait, I'm just so confused.
Because Ahsoka definitely came in. Well, unless she was a Padawan. Okay, she was like a little baby.
So it was right before the war broke out.
Yeah. So this would have been the Galactic, Republic, completely. This would have been prior to the.
Sorry.
Are you done now?
I'm so sorry.
Are you? No.
I told myself I was gonna stop.
Whatever.
Anyway, I don't know why we're getting so hung up on calendar dates here. It is fun to delve in. So thank you, Wikipedia.
Back to the shots. There's this opening shot of Cassian crawling into the Republic frigate, the travel transport, the ship that crash landed on the planet.
Yeah.
There's this opening shot, and it's just very not even Wes Anderson, but it's nice to look at. And he like crawls into the ship, and you're like, somebody thought about that shot. And it's did things that like that director thought about that makes this series.
Somebody thought about that shot, and they got paid $13 for it.
So I like there's a couple of exposition shots that you're like, again, you're gonna hate, but like Cassian sees a mirror for the first time, and he realizes, oh, that's me. And you're
I'm
like,
ugly.
This is like the tribal boy that's been raised in the jungle, and he's meeting civilization for the first time. And you're like beginning to see this boy that's coming out from this kind of like Mowgli in the Jungle Book into civilization.
Yeah. The one thing I did note about this particular flashback, baby Cass, he's searching the ship. He finally shows some kind of emotion, anger, and he starts
Huge.
he starts hitting things,
Just destroying the ship.
it's like, wow.
Well, his best friend just died.
I get it.
That shot.
I
There's a bunch
I wouldn't be affected if my best friend.
just kidding.
suffering from severe jaundice on the ship.
They are. I'm like, is that farm okay? And then
There were a couple of scenes with the flyby over the junkyard. I'm just gonna say the CGI was rough. It was a little.
they made minimal use of it for this series, and maybe for good reason. Maybe the budget was.
There's a couple of bits where it's like, oh, that did not look. To be fair, the graphics on the bus, because last week we talked about Luthen
Yes.
flying in on this kind of like shuttle bus. The CGI on that scene was solid. Additionally, the color blocking on this whole episode was pretty good. Like the colors, the contrast, the lighting. There's this thing, I watched a series last week about HDR and how it's making everything bland. And like the lighting, the color contrast. And to be fair, a lot of this series is well lit.
What was the series?
It's just like a YouTube commentary, Josh something. But he had this whole bit about like why modern cinematic things shot on digital look blander than they did with.
Oh, I think I've had that recommended to me. This 7 is
One of those, and it makes sense because digital cameras are just getting better and better and better, and it's like you can see more with them. But when it comes to dramatic storytelling, sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes you want those harsh shadows and those sharp lines and stuff. And while this show doesn't do a great job at using like light and dark like color balance well, it does do color grading well.
I think it's a matter of like people not knowing exactly what to do with it. Actually, one of my clients for my job, they recorded a bunch of videos to go on their account. They sent the footage that they recorded today, and my boss was like, what's wrong with the lighting? Why does everything look so flat? And I took one look at it. I was like, oh no, they recorded it in log footage, which essentially it intentionally records everything kind of flat to show high details in both the lighter and darker parts of the image, to give the editors more room to, more room to play with.
Which
in post, you just have to add the correct. You have to know what to do with it, and you can. There's so much you can do with it from there. You just have to know what to do with it, and maybe that's just a case of editors not knowing.
So here we see an opening sequence. Luthen comes in on the bus. He starts kind of walking around the city. We see Cyril and Mosk, who it finally hit me in this episode. Cyril kind of looks like a constipated Rob Lowe. I don't know how else to put it.
For me, he has always reminded me of Gabe from The Office.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
maybe like a combination of the two, because I can see Rob Lowe as well.
It's a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
Either way, so we see Cyril kind of coming in on this like attack shuttle with his little attack squad. A couple of the cuts here are a little bit rough, just between everybody.
Well, there's a lot that they were building up to in this episode.
This was a dramatic. There was a lot of
So it was a bit chaotic.
trying to build the tension in this whole up to this bit.
Cassian, he tells Brazo that there's a chance he might be coming into some money, and if he gets it, then he's out of here. Brasso doesn't really do anything in this episode, I feel like. I know we see him at the end. He's alive and well.
Not really.
I was like, where were
Gaslo's kind of had this. He took this backseat because earlier we saw he obviously he's like best friends with Cass. So we had the whole, I think it was episode 1, the dialogue exchange, like,
Yeah, I'll cover.
I'll cover for you. I need an alibi for this one thing, and then eventually this is their goodbye. This is basically, and it's kind of one of those like, should more be said? No, and you kind of actually see a little bit of their relationship and how little is said. Because Cass like, hey, I have this thing cooking right now, but I gotta bounce. I'll be back.
Just like, oh.
I'll try. And Brasso's like, all right, stay, hang tough.
If they had some type of secret handshake that they could have done at that moment, just like, oh,
that would have been tight, but
and just not said a word.
was that
Done, but I understand. It was the handshake that we were practicing from The Good Place.
Oh, wow.
Where it's like Jason and his brother.
Whoa, what do they show?
It was like this.
Jaguars.
Stellan arrives. Sorry, I keep calling him Stellan. That's what I wrote all throughout my notes. I don't know if we actually hear his name in this episode. So
I think no, it comes in later.
Still, to me, he is Stellan. He's greeted by Bix, who alerts him about the bulletin that was put out for Cassian, and Stellan's not concerned. Which, yeah, this is the thing. So we finally get to meet his character this episode.
There's actually like meaningful dialogue.
Yeah, and I hadn't watched this since season 1 was initially released a couple of years ago. I forgot how almost kind of infuriating it is to watch his character because, man, you never know what he's thinking. Oh, I just want to get more.
I love that.
Like, he's good. I'm not saying like bad things. I'm not saying like this is negative. I'm like, wow, this guy drives me nuts with how much more I want to know about him. Like, just tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you want.
That's what makes a character mysterious and engaging, and you want to know, like you want to crack a beer with this guy and talk to him. And you're like, what's your deal? What's your what's your play?
Yeah. Because they still at this point haven't, as far as I know, they haven't said the word rebellion
At all.
yet.
At all.
And so you don't really technically know. So it's all suspense. Don't get ahead of them. I'm not getting ahead. We flash back to Marv looting the planet, I guess, Kanari.
Yep.
With her sidekick.
So it turns out that they're maybe not scrappers, but they're scavengers. So they find this Republic crash shuttle, and they're trying to steal expensive parts before the Republic comes to resource recovery there, or like recover their crash ship. So they discover Cassian on the ship, just busting windows out.
Yeah.
So they're what's the guy's name? I forget his name.
I don't know her.
Marva's husband. So
Is that her husband?
later on they talk about where they interview her, where Cyril interviews her. Yeah, here. Cassian. So they're interviewing Marva, and they're like, "Oh, you have quite a record and stuff." Rick Square, where they hung his father.
Okay, but did they say his name was Rick, the other guy?
No,
Then you have
but
okay.
it says no. They hung him in Rick Square.
Yeah, but
That was the guy. That was the dude in the.
was it? But was it really? Whatever.
Why are you fighting me on this?
Just find me some tangible proof. Bring me his father.
All right, here we go. Wookiee peed in that. Here we.
In the meantime, while he's doing that, in my notes, I wrote down, talking about Marva, I said, I need to look up Marv's actress.
Cassian's middle name is Geron.
Geron. It's actually Jaren. I'm just kidding. I made a note.
Geronimus.
Yes. I made a note that I need to look up Marv's actress to see if they made her look older in the present or they made her look younger in the past. Because either way, somebody did a fantastic job. They did such a good job, hair and makeup, because looking at her in the flashbacks, it genuinely looks like a naturally younger version of Marv. I was like, did they like?
really good?
Is she that age, like currently in the flashbacks, and they successfully made her look naturally older in the present? And I want to say it's the prior because she is played by, I just looked it up, Fiona Shaw, who is a phenomenal actress. She is 66 years old. And so, yeah, they successfully made her look significantly younger in these flashbacks. Yeah, not knocking her at all. But she is so good in this series. And hair and makeup, they did a good job.
Here we
Oh,
go.
Are you about to...
Here we go.
Are you about to have your moment?
Vindication. Clem Andor was a male human mechanic and salvager from the planet Ferrix. Prior to the outbreak of the Clone Wars, he accompanied his wife Marva on the planet Canary, where the pair found and adopted Cassian, Duran, Andor. Suck it.
Congratulations.
I did, bro. You question me. You question.
Can you blame me? Can you blame me?
No, I can't actually.
Anyway, yes. Blah, blah, blah. It's Fiona Shaw. Oh, and for what it's worth, Fiona Shaw, she won she was nominated. A BAFTA award for Best Supporting Actress in this series.
You did really well. Her act,
A nomination is a good news.
where like she yelled at Cassian.
Yeah.
There was so
Anyway.
basically, and I'm trying to put this in context. Basically, Ferrix is like the industrial part of town, and the cops roll up and they bust in the door on this sweet little old lady that, as they kind of progressively, tell the story and stuff, like, oh, there's got a lot of eyes on, like, and then it shows other like people, and they're like, oh, they're talking to Marva, and people are like, what? Why are they talking to Marva? Like, you can see that she is a pillar in the local community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is an intrinsic,
She is treasure.
a matriarch of their local city and town.
Yeah. And this was interesting to me because as we see these opening shots of Cyril's team arriving on the planet, you can tell by looking at him that he is scared to death, but he's pressing forward. But in this scene where they are searching through Marv's home, here's where you can really see Cyril's cowardice come through, because the only person he feels he can intimidate is this old lady,
Little old
Marva.
lady.
And boy, is he going to exert his dominance.
So the
Over
actor's
there.
name, Kyle Solar.
Mhm.
I think he did an amazing job at kind of playing this emotionally stunted,
Just like insecure.
a very
Yeah.
insecure cop,
Yeah.
So obviously he's wearing the badge. He's intimidating this little old lady. And then of all the time,
Oh, that made me mad.
makes the silly mistake to call B, the little robot.
Yeah.
Calls B, and he's like, B, pick up, tell Marva that I love her and that I'm sorry and I'll be back. And he's like having this like heartfelt confession and stuff, all while there's a room full of cops tracing this call.
Now, this infuriated me because an incredibly dumb choice to contact B to begin with.
At all.
And B, hasn't he been telling B this whole time, forget we had this, like, you're not coming with me.
Yeah.
Forget we had this conversation. I'm going away. I'm not telling you where I'm going.
Yeah.
Now he decides, hey, B, I'm sorry that I'm at my secret location and these are my exact coordinates and this is the crime I committed, and tell Marv, my adoptive mother from when she rescued me from Canary, that I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that she,
Yeah. I agree.
it's very convenient for our SWAT team.
It seems a little bit progressive for the story, but alternatively, it just shows his love for Marv. The fact that, like, you and I know, okay, if you are out on the lam, if you're running from the cops, if you're trying to dodge the catchers, you break all communicators, you lose your phone, you get a burner, or you lose the burner. Like, just that's across the boards. Whereas in this case, he doesn't, because he has just such a big heart for his mother and me.
So, well, that's, good for him. That's nice. It doesn't seem consistent with his character at all.
So anyway, so moving it along, Luthen or Cassian shows up to the place that he's gonna meet the contact, Bix's contact. In this case, it's Luthen, and this place is just epic. Like, it's just a super dramatic. It's like this big warehouse full of these like engines, pod racing engines, or some form of like spaceship engines hanging from the ceiling, dangling
Scrap
like
yards, yeah. Mhm.
just on chains and stuff. It's just got this super cool, like modern urban aesthetic.
Super cool.
So cool.
They negotiate over the Starpath unit.
And they start talking. Ethan shows up and he's like, "Where'd you get that thing? Why do you have it?" And Cassian's just like, "Give me the money, man. Give me the money. I got your unit." And they start, they start doing the haggle. Like, how do I know it's real? You plug it in, it'll work. It's still sealed. It's not worth anything. It's not, and then Luthen starts hinting at something a little bit more. He's like, "I'll give you an extra 1,000 credits if you tell me how you got it." And Cassian's like, you can kind of feel like there's no music. The tension's a little bit high. Cassian's just like, you walk in there. You walk into the Empire, you walk into their facilities, and you just pick it up and you act like you belong. And he's like, the Empire is so proud and so arrogant that you can just do what you want.
Cassian just does him like, I just took it, bro.
I just walked in.
I just took it, bro.
And so Luthen starts kind of playing off that, and he's like, don't you want to do more? Don't you think that they like need to be brought like, and you're like, oh, Luthen's not just some side hustler out here to buy some hardware. He's like, he's not hunting for a Starpath unit. He's hunting for Cassian.
Yes.
He's looking for a secret agent.
And then the thing he says to really draw him in is when he says, like you mentioned earlier, oh, like they hung your father in the town square.
You're like,
To which Cassian pulls out a blaster. And he's like, how do you know that?
He's like,
who are you? I'm like, dude, like he could have Googled it. Okay.
and Luthen answers, no, the right question is, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't think that's...
No. Okay. I have a couple things here. For one, I'm sorry, these two scenes, because it's dragged out over two scenes of them, A, negotiating over the Starpath unit, and two, talking about the cause.
The cause.
Now,
That's what we're calling it now.
the cause. For now, we're calling it the cause. Cassian asks him at least 17 times, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Well, I'm not going to tell you that because TV.
It was getting a bit repetitive.
Now, we need to talk about the pace of this show. I remember when it came out, some people were complaining that this show moved too slow. What do you think?
I was really hoping this discussion was not going to come up.
No, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just asking.
I think the pacing for what it is, and I think it's very true to life, especially in situations like a rebellion. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of, I think we're all conditioned to the Jane Bonds and the Jason Bournes, and the Mission Impossible entertainment that it's like secret spies are running a... Sorry. What do you expect from me? That we're talking secret agents and
I know. It's just,
what do you have against James Bond?
you said Jane Bonds.
I tried to let it go. I really did. Am I dyslexic? For Jane Bonds.
All right. So you were saying Jane Bonds and
I think
the pacing.
a lot of people think that being a secret spy and being an agent and stuff is, action a minute, the entire movie, the entire thing, and it's not, you're running from this place to that place, shooting, secret agents and stuff. It's a lot of just, and that's why I liked, what was the other series? Not Jack Reacher. The Clancy series on with the guy from The Office.
Oh,
John
Krasinski.
John Krasinski in
the Hunt for Red October guy.
the Tom Clancy series. That was a much more grounded series as to what being like an agent, like a government agent is because it's a lot of just like informative work.
Jack Ryan.
The Jack Ryan series, fantastic, because it was like he was researching stuff. He's like, look at all these bank records, and he pulls out like a stack of bank records. He's like, look at all these bank, like it was not super engaging, and you're like, okay, this is kind of boring at bits, you know. And then they have like the action sequences were very short, you know, actual confrontations where like you're in a conflict with people. I mean, it takes, you know, I think on average it's like 2 minutes. Like the average length of an engagement is like 2 minutes, and you're like, oh, that's crazy and stuff. But the majority of the time, it's going to be all this, you know, secretarial work. It's going to be all of this desk jockey work to get to that point. So to have this rebellion and the pacing of this thing being these kind of guys like sneaking around, talking to each other, trying to exchange like contacts and stuff, I think it's a much more realistic pacing of a. And this is, you got to remember, this is coming off of the Rogue One series, which the entire thing was about building a rebellion against this overarching megalomaniac imperial despot.
Oh, despot.
You know, this entire issue.
Is that the good word? Try the video. Despot.
Oh yeah, we haven't had a good word yet.
Despot. It is my turn.
I raise it up. There's despotism. Okay,
Despot verb.
Again, despot, a ruler or other person who holds absolute power, typically one who exercises it in a cruel or oppressive way. That fits. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think.
I think.
So sum up. I think the pacing of this is okay.
I remember seeing a lot of comments while this was airing and being released of people saying, this moves so slow, it's so boring, I can't get through it. I'm sorry for you, because you're really missing out if you gave up on this show. But I remember when shows like Lost were airing, the pacing was notoriously slow, but it still kept viewers coming back because they still wanted to see what was happening. And I think fast forward 20 years, as a society, our attention spans have gotten even shorter and shorter and shorter.
I specifically blame Instagram and Snapchat
And TikTok.
TikTok.
But even like with the TV shows that we get, and a lot of them, yes, being on Disney Plus, it's gotten to the point where, you know, if you miss one episode, you miss the whole season. They're not used to the good pacing of older series that would just sprinkle in little bits. They would focus on, you know, the characters and just, you know, an inch of plot development. That's all you need, and it's still satisfying. I was never bothered by the pacing in Andor like some other people were. And if you gave up, I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's kind of weird. Like, you know, 20, 30, 40, you know, years ago, television series lasted for years. You know, they were like, oh, did you see Gunslinger? It was on for like, you know, 10 or 12, 15 seasons. Whereas now series like shows, you know, Disney and Netflix, they'll drop one series, one season, not even 1 year. What is it? Not even 2 quarters. And then they'll just leave it cold and dry. And you're like, there's no lasting staying power anymore.
Yeah. And I think people have just been a little spoiled when it comes to that. But
well, okay, I'm not going to blame the fans. I do think the pacing at times of this series is a little bit slow, but personally, I enjoy that.
he is going to, in fact, blame the fans.
I'm not going to blame the fans.
But rewinding just one scene, yeah, just a little. Rewinding one scene, word is out. The peeps are here. They're looking for Cassian. Something is up. One of Bix's friends goes and tells her, like, you know, they're what happened? What is happening? Then Tim is nearby. He comes up to Bix and says, hey, he can take care of himself. Bix says, boy, how did you know who we were talking about?
Because I didn't tell you.
I didn't tell you anything. And she realizes way later than I feel like she should have that Tim is, of course, the one who snitched and revealed Cassian's location.
It's this pretty awkward, like, 3 seconds of prolonged eye contact where it's like, how did you know?
And she says, did I ever tell you that he was from Canary?
And then she starts copping an attitude.
She says, that's right. I did tell you he was from Canary. One, why would you tell him that? For starters. And two, are you really surprised that he snitched on Cass?
Not at all.
Because he's very clearly been showing that he doesn't feel comfortable with him. He's insecure. He is clearly jealous of him. Of course it was him. Girl, open your eyes. Get out of that relationship and go find yourself.
Well, that's not going to be a problem for much longer because so Tim shows his cards. It cuts back to Luthen and Cassian. Luthen offers his money for the information. Cassian promises, tells him how he got the Star Path unit. My one note here is I don't like how Cassian Andor is more true to Han Solo's story than Han Solo was in Solo.
Yeah.
I know this is a divisive topic, but I just, this story alone is so much more accurate and like lore true to Solo's story than anything in Kathleen Kennedy's Solo film. I mean, it wasn't a Solo film. It was a movie with multiple actors, but it was about Solo. It was anyway.
I feel like you need to clarify one little thing.
Just one.
I don't think Solo is a bad movie. I think it's a fine movie.
Oh, you're gonna start this conversation?
No. I mean, I'm sure it's a whole other conversation. Yeah, I think it was just
misunderstood.
It's not its fault, right?
It's a victim of its
own.
So you're saying if they were to recast and refilm everything right now?
I think it just came out at a weird time. Like, nobody was asking for a Solo film. I would have accepted Solo more as like a straight to Disney Plus movie. I would have listen. I would have accepted it as a like direct to video release. Not so much hyped up as a theatrical release. I would welcome it more as kind of like a bonus feature.
Yeah.
No. For what it was. I mean, and now granted.
Yeah.
I did not go to see Solo in the theaters. I watched Solo on a flight. And
to be fair though, sometimes flight movies hit different.
Yeah. And I remember, on a flight, and it was a long flight, you're half awake. And maybe I was just thinking like, this film's okay.
Yeah. Well, there's so many, and we really should do a Solo review. Mm-hmm. Came out in 2018. I just think Donnie Glover, fantastic casting choice for Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Alden Ehrenreich,
who I don't think has done anything.
He did okay. Woody Harrelson, just a random casting choice.
But to me,
it just came out of nowhere.
Woody Harrelson can do no wrong, in my opinion. He's a great actor.
He didn't do good in this, though.
I thought he did fine. I mean, I was tired when I watched it.
Woody Harrelson plays Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
Okay.
And we like Woody
No,
Harrelson.
not in this
Also,
context.
I feel like it's Harrelson, not
Harrelson.
Harrelson.
As Han Solo's adopted, abusive, like, who was the guy in Oliver's Twist?
Dave.
What?
I know you didn't just say Oliver's Twist.
That's what you're yelling at me about? Did you just break my glass?
It just broke in half. It just broke so cleanly in half. Oh my God. That's not clean at all.
Well,
you did say Oliver's Twist. I'm sorry. I'll buy you a new one.
I don't know where to go from here. All right, let's go back to our...
Anyway, Solo, we'll talk about it.
Let's talk about that later. So Luthen says special people are hard to find, and I didn't want you to see you tossed on the pile. And then, did you bring a comlink?
Sewers, yeah, this was
which was a dumb move.
this was
I think Luthen had such high expectations for Cassian, and then all of a sudden they were all shattered
right.
by the simple fact that this man brought a comlink. He brought a cell phone to a secret agent meetup.
There are a lot of convenient things that need to happen in a TV series for the plot to move forward, and this was just one.
Was this a plot device?
Yeah, a plot device comlink. So I wrote down the cops show up, and
They roll in,
there's a big shootout.
put some slap charges on the door. He has this like rule number 2. Bill drags it on the way and starts blowing stuff up, starts to escape. He knows that the Star Path unit means nothing. It literally like,
It was more so about Cassian himself. Yeah,
and Cassian is still a little bit blind, so he's like, I gotta go back for the box.
yeah.
Luthen's like, leave it.
Yep.
Eventually, there's this whole things start blasting, things start falling down. There's a couple of shootouts. Eventually, they escape.
Yes, and Cassian leaves the box, as you said.
Now, I don't like to think that I'm seizure prone, but this entire sequence was just so visually stimulating. Between all of the cuts and the heart, it was a bit much.
It was.
But about action.
That's the point.
Mattered.
In the meantime, Bix is captured. In
Vince is just running through the city.
yeah, which was disappointing. I was like,
The cops see her running and they're like, you're running towards the noise, which means something's up.
yeah.
So arrest her, they put her in cuffs. Tim shows up
And
does this weird bravado, heroic, I can't believe you're doing this. And so they shoot him.
yeah, he gets shot trying to save her. And for me, I was I felt like
what does TikTok do? The whole Tim is now unalived
he has been unalive.
by the
Yeah.
authoritarian figures.
For me, her reaction really, yeah, I think you can say cops. For me,
Shot by the cops.
for me, her reaction really should have been different because she cries and she's devastated by Tim's death. When really she should have said, "Oh, thank God, I've been rescued from this black hole of toxicity.
Well, okay, the whole
Someone did me a favor.
I-
Okay, kill him."
I know.
Did you get it? Yeah.
I know that reference. I do think it is kind of sad though, because they like handcuff her to a pipe so she doesn't run away again. And then her fiance, her boyfriend, is shot like dead, just out of arm's reach. She can't like leave, but she's also staring at his deadpan fish eyes, like right in her face.
Mhm.
It's just kind of an odd, like this. That would be a very traumatic
It's pretty
situation. So I'm kind of excited to see if
Yeah.
Bix like plays any role in season 2.
I will.
It's got a lot of pent up
Now,
anger.
I will, again, without spoiling anything for the rest of the season, you've had 2 years to watch it, just so you
I
know.
don't think we need
Um,
alerts at this point.
Bix, beyond this point, is really given nothing to do for the rest of the season.
Is she? Do they actually have her in anything else?
They do.
Okay, they. Okay.
But
Pointless.
there's, which is such a shame because I do like her as a character.
Her role is done.
Yeah, but they relegate her to more of a plot device for the rest of the season, which is too bad.
Yeah.
But the actress does a terrific job with what she's given to work with for the rest of the season, but don't expect much.
So in the meantime, there's a couple of radio transmissions between the cops, and they're like, "Yeah, there's 2 of them headed out towards the outer," and they're like, "Wait, 2 of them? Because we were only here to arrest 1 guy, and now there's 2 of them."
This is getting out of hand. No, there are 2 of them.
So then, like the entire town is running around clanging cans or pipes around.
Yeah, I didn't understand this.
I think it was an intimidation factor. I kind of wanted to read up on it, but it cuts to Bee and Marva, and she says, "I love this. The delivery on this was so dramatic." She's like, "Hear that? That's what a reckoning sounds like." And the cop is just literally peeing in his pants.
And the clanging is getting pretty annoying.
Yeah.
And she says, "It's only when they stop that you need to worry."
Is that an accent?
I don't know her accent, man. I'm just here
So then
doing an unpaid job.
cops are like lining up. They're ready because they know where Luthen and Cassian are headed. So they set like a trap for them. And then Cassian gets the drop on Cyril. And he's like, all right, drop it. So Cyril's now without a weapon. He gets like how many cops they have. So they set up this whole, they have like this car drive through the town. It blows up in dramatic fashion.
It's very dramatic.
And all of the cops are like, all right, we're centered on this one thing. And then it explodes. So now there's like 3 or 4 of the cops are down. Luthen and Cassian escape on a speeder bike and they make it free and clear out of town.
But I'm still confused. Why did everybody start clanging? Because the Empire's just on?
No, it's just an intimidation factor. The cops are there.
Mm.
They've attacked Marva.
Oh, okay.
Assemble the people, like,
Okay.
basically go to your homes and hide. That's the thing. It's a warning thing,
Cool.
you know? So.
Good for them. You know, they have a system in place.
System in place. You know, they have all these pipes hanging from wires on the walls.
Yeah. So it eventually the clanging does stop. Right. Cassian, he holds Cyril at gunpoint. And again,
Yep, that.
Cyril showing his true colors. He is terrified. He tells them like,
Everything.
oh, yeah, I'll tell you everything.
There's 12 of us. 2
And,
hours. There's 14 of us.
Man, it's no, yeah, it's like he's just digging his own grave. One of his guys tries to fly away, but they've tied his ship down.
I forgot about that.
I don't know if they showed him, if they showed people like tying his ship down earlier.
Nope.
But all I wrote down was, OMG, the whiplash that I would have experienced.
Well, also the ship blew up.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I like about this is they don't have to show Brasso and the other mechanics tying up the cop cars, like putting the weight.
Big for itself.
It just kind of, you already know what they did without having to like show it.
That's true. That's true. And I will say, you know, without, you know, offending any parents out there, we do hear our first genuine cuss word in Star Wars in this episode. So.
Yeah. Is this and I mean rewatching the episode, I was like, is this the first time we've heard this?
Oh, I remember when this came out.
Yeah.
There were articles about it.
Yeah.
Like the first occurrence of this word in any form of, you know, Star Wars film or TV. Like, oh, this is a big deal.
I'm not. What's her name?
So parents beware. You know, what's her name?
Fiona Shaw.
Yeah,
Just delivers it.
she was the one who said it.
No, which one?
It was Mosk who says it.
What's one?
It's Mosk, the Scottish guy.
Hang on, we're pausing here.
What? No.
What's the word?
Why don't you ask your friend Jane Bonds and Oliver's Twist?
Okay, I'll watch it later.
But yeah. Anyway, I had
So all thing on Brasso seen at the bar, thinking about what he's done. Cyril is absolutely shell shocked.
Well, yeah, because Cyril, he's been tied up. They find him and then free him. And Cyril, he completely falls for this bait and switch that they've pulled off.
Yeah.
He thinks he and his men have successfully blown up Cassian and Stellan's speeder. And it turns out it was a decoy. It was fake. And the look on Cyril's face when he realizes that he played right into their hand, and all his men, Mosk and their henchmen, are panicking. What? No, that wasn't it. Just looking at Cyril's face as he literally freezes in fear and shock, and like he even needs to be dragged away by Mosk at the end of it. You can just tell, man, he knows he's getting fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's he's literally not processing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point we cut back to kind of a hard shift back to the flashback. We see the old Marva bringing Cassian onto their ship. Oh, I wanted to actually look up it looks like some form of a Carillion freighter. In a way, kind of like the ship from Force Unleashed. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it sees them. They pick up Cassian, so it shows, which we kind of already know. So I don't know if this exposition...
Again, like these flashbacks, I don't know how necessary they are, but her whole reasoning is like, better us to take him than the Republic take them.
So,
okay.
Marva and Clem, they adopt Cassian and they fly away.
Mm-hmm. Bix is taken away. Bix is taken away in the prison.
I'm sorry, I think you mean Hispanic Natalie Portman.
Be nice.
I am being nice.
Okay.
Also known as Bix.
And Bix is taken away. Brazo is still kicking, which is good. And I will say, even though I wasn't a fan of having the flashbacks included in this, the last 2 shots of this episode were pretty cool because they mirror one another. You have in both shots, whether it's baby Cassian in the flashback or present Cassian with Stellan Skarsgård, in either case, Cassian is escaping a boring planet and is separated from his sister still. Remember her? Remember Cassian's sister? That was kind of like what was promised as like the main premise of the series in the first scene.
That was literally just a plot device to get the word Knare into the ears of the cops.
Has
To look
Cassian
for
in
this
the
guy.
present like remembered that
there
he
was
has
no-
a sister
there's
at
no-
this point?
There's
Does
no
Cassian
sister.
still think like, oh yeah, I was looking for my sister?
She was like, his name is sister. You need to forget about the sister. There is no plot device.
Cassian has a sister.
Not an.
I don't know if Cassian knows he has a sister anymore.
That was a long time ago. He's got some immediate priorities like the cops.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that was episode 3.
All in all, the music and sound design on this episode, top notch.
Mhm.
This episode, as with Andor in total, not a lot happened in this single episode. Again, going back to our entire conversation about pacing, but for as much that happens, not a lot. The story progressed.
And you still want to know what happens together?
Yeah. Tim died, and we are, again, there's not like one giant cliffhanger, but you're like, all right, there's a lot that happened. What happens next?
Yeah. So, and of course, we will tune in next week.
Tune in
Next to find out.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Yeah, we look forward to it. And we haven't really talked about the trailers for season 2 of Andor.
Are you excited for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People had comments about the music for the trailers. It was like this rock and roll thing that didn't seem to quite fit the tone, but I'm still excited.
You can remember, sometimes trailers do, and then I know that was the biggest thing for Rogue One. Like the ads, the trailers and stuff showed material that was not actually included in the final film.
I don't think that was intentional on Rogue One. I think Rogue One was changed much like a lot of things with Kathleen. There were so many like cool shots in the trailers for Rogue One that didn't make it into the final product. We will review Rogue One another day. But anyway, the only thing that kind of concerned me about the trailers for season 2, it seems like there's going to be some type of musical dance number.
Yeah, that scared me too.
Be careful, guys. Tony Gilroy, the creator of the series, please be careful.
I'm trying to temper my expectations.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, Mandalorian season 1, fantastic. Mandalorian season 2,
I still enjoyed Mando season 2.
Mando season 3,
No.
So there's still hope. That's what I'm saying, is there's still hope. Andor is one of the best for Star Wars content. Hopefully season 2 can live up to.
And hopefully our reviews of it live up to your expectations as well, which are hopefully down here.
Very low. Bottom of it. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Let's Commiserate.
We'll see you next time.